I think Boorman's entire career has been spent, I think, somewhat to his detriment, taking enormous risks, because this is a man, I think he's up there with Kubrick and Kurosawa and Hitchcock and all the Bergman and all the greats. It's just that he goes so far out there that I don't think the batting average, if you look at his work, is like a Kubrick batting average. But I do think that the talent and the passion is there. If this movie would inspire anything, I think I would hope it would inspire anybody with any artistic dreams to take the fucking risk. If this didn't kill Boorman, then whatever you're planning is not going to kill you. I can imagine what you could like. The risk on this was just so beyond my scope of belief that I want to see more directors. I want to see more filmmakers. I want to see more artists go out there. And you know what? It's like people hate it. Fine. You did it. It's there. And that's, at the end of the day, the doing has to matter. It can't be about the result.
What was the inspiration for why you wanted to make a film about this incredible sequel, Heretic?
I first saw this movie when I was a teenager on Betamax, and it was the short version. It was the European version, because that was the only version that was available anywhere until the mid '90s, when Warner Home Video finally released the full theatrical cut. And the first time I saw it, I liked it, but I didn't really get it. I mean, because if you saw the European cut, it's kind of like they tried to make a horror movie out of Exorcist 2, which it really isn't a horror movie. And it wasn't until the mid '90s when I saw the original cut that I was like, oh my God, this movie has a lot going on. I mean, it's like, it has stuff that just doesn't work. And Boorman would be absolutely the first to tell you that. But there was so much going on. There's so much technique. There's so much art, like cinema in this film. And I felt that the reputation it got for being like, one of the worst movies ever made or all this stuff, a little bit ridiculous. So I kind of was the tub thumper for this movie for a really long time. And a friend of mine named Jeffrey Schwartz, who's a documentary filmmaker. He has actually a new movie out that's running the festivals right now called Mineshaft, which is really good. It's about cruising, the William Friedkin movie.
I've seen it. I loved it.
It's good. It's real good. But he basically told me, and this is back in 2017, if you don't make this documentary, the people involved in it are going to start passing and no one will tell this story ever. And I was furious because I knew he was right. And I also knew how much work goes into documentaries. But I started, and John was the first interview back in 2018. We had him for one day, the whole day. And that was where the entire interview comes from. And
how many hours was the interview?
I want to say, I mean, we sat for the whole day. The string out timeline that I have in my machine has about 2.5 hours of just his responses, without my questions mostly. So it was a long, chunky interview, and he sat the whole day. And the one thing I will never be able to repay him for was not just that he sat for me, but that he chose to be vulnerable and open. And it wasn't just about The Heretic. It was about life and art. And I was like, this is what I want to make a documentary about, because it's not about The Heretic, just The Heretic, which is an interesting enough subject. This is about, how do you live as a filmmaker? Like, how do you manage to take those risks and survive if they don't work? Because I really believe if you don't have the latitude to make something like Exorcist 2, The Heretic, you're not going to get Excalibur. You're not going to get Hope and Glory. You won't get Deliverance. You need to be able to give these artists the rope to kind of hang themselves, because that's the only way really good stuff gets made. And that's what I miss in movies now. Like we've kind of come into this era of where money has kind of taken over everything, and cinema is still an art form, and you still need to be able to take those risks. And A few filmmakers can. Sometimes they do. Occasionally we see something crazy and amazing. But this was a movie that was a big budget movie, big studio, summer release for a mass market, and it's basically an experimental art film. So how can you not love that? Like, even if you dislike The Heretic, and many, 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 many do, I feel like it deserves some respect, just for what it tried to do.
Curious how many people have seen The Heretic before they saw this. So, quite a few.
Yeah. The first rough cut of this movie was 196 minutes, if you can imagine. And one of the things that was amazing, because we showed it to a few friends, one of the things that was amazing was we would give these little forums, like we're professionals or whatever. And, one of the things was like, did your mind ever wander? Were you ever bored? And shockingly, even in that cut, everybody said no. Like, there was nobody that was bored. And I feel it was like, that was a badge of honor, and the whole point of getting this cut down to where it's at, which is 112 minutes, was all about how do you tell this story as efficiently, fast, and entertainingly as possible, but still have the audience care in the last 10 minutes, because that last 10 minutes was the only part of this movie that I cut out of order. Like, I was going in order the whole time, but every once in a while I would get snagged and I would work on that last bit. So I always knew where I was going for this. And I remember Boorman in that room when he said, "I've tried to be," and I was like, it was just a moment. I was like, oh, that's the end of the movie. Like, that, oh my God, that just happened. You can't invent that. You can't write that. I couldn't even come up with that. So, I mean, that's part of like my gratitude toward John and everybody who was a part of this is like, I just can't even. And to have a documentary in 2026 that's getting a theatrical release, I mean, come on, that's like,
amazing.
That's like, oh yeah, I'll applaud too. I feel like we just, I mean, I do think it has a lot of quality, but I mean, at the same time, it's so rare, and I'm so grateful, and I've been running around with this film from the festival circuit since it premiered at Venice last year, and the responses have been, if you're working on a movie for 7 years. And you're just looking in a monitor in your edit bay, you kind of lose track of the fact that at some point people are going to watch it. And to have people love it as much as the love that I have felt for this film, I don't even know how to process it. I'm really, really moved and grateful.
Was there anybody that you interviewed in this from the cast that was particularly hard to get an interview with and took a long time to like set up?
I mean, honestly, after I shot John, it was John, then Rosbo, then Linda, then Louise. And after we got those guys, there were not really many no's. There was only one cast member who I wanted to interview who declined, and that was Kitty Wynn. And she's lovely. I tracked her down. She's given up acting, but I tracked her down and I asked her, and she was going to do it for a good minute. And she left acting behind a long time ago. And I think that she was just like, I don't really have anything to add. I'm just like, okay. But she has seen the film and she was profoundly moved by it. And I'm very grateful for that. She's lovely. She's wonderful.
I was, is it Louise Fletcher that plays the psychiatrist?
Yes.
Yeah. Her interview was fantastic.
Yeah.
I think, to me, she's Nurse Ratched, this horrific person. I had never seen any interviews with her before.
Oh, wow, really?
And she's delightful.
Yeah.
Frankly.
That's who she is, or was. I'm sorry, she passed a couple of years ago.
2022,
yeah,
right?
And
yeah.
I'm very upset that she didn't ever get to see this film finished. Because literally every screening, somebody brings up Louise because there's so much love. And I have to say, when I was cutting the spaghetti dinner bit at the end, when she's talking about life and her art and how she doesn't regret, I could not get through it without crying. Literally. And sometimes I even watch it now and it's like, and I've seen this movie, I don't even know how many times. And I'm just kind of like, what she's doing here, what she's saying here is like, I just want to put it in my heart forever. Because as an artist, like we don't have a lot of guideposts, like, and everything's working against us all the time. So to have this artist talk about her life and basically be like, yeah, I did the great things, I did crappy things, I did all the stuff, and I loved it all, and it all goes together. And I think that's something we forget in our day-to-day chaos.
Yeah.
But you should see Brainstorm. She's great in that. And she's great in Flowers in the Attic, for that matter, if you like that movie.
Oh, I think she's one of her generation's most just fantastic performers. She's incredible.
She was a lovely actress and such a warm, sweet,
stories,
loving person.
Just her comments, I saw some crazy shit on this film, like crazier than I'd ever seen in it, but I have no regrets at all, about doing it. And her stories about Richard.
Richard.
Sorry, I'm blanking.
Well, everybody had stories about Richard.
Okay,
like one of the things we had to do was cut down the number of stories we had about Richard, because
a
couple of the reviews were just like they go for every opportunity to bash Richard. I'm like, no, this is really nice. Like we cut a lot out. We didn't even mention the fire axe part in Arizona where Richard Burton and a gaffer or a grip, I'm not sure which, I never knew who it was. It was late at night. They were in Page, Arizona. Everything was closed. Burton decided he wanted a drink. Takes a fire axe from the lodge's wall, axes down the bar door, goes into the bar with a gaffer. Now, depending on who you talk to, he either did get liquor or did not get liquor because it was locked up, or he got into that anyway. Somehow they did get liquor, and Warner Brothers had to pay for everything and clean it up, and it never made any press anywhere. But apparently everybody on the crew knew about it because late at night he was banging on the door, and his wife Susie, who he married, who he promised he would get off of alcohol, or so much alcohol because he was diehard alcoholic. And for the first half of the shoot, he was relatively good. And then, but that was at the end of the shoot, and he was not. So. And
then Boorman talking about his performance lacking.
Yeah. It's funny because you see some defenders of Exorcist 2 being like, Burton was really great. And I'm like, okay. Like, I don't, like, Burton was one of the greatest film actors ever. And you see something like Spy Who Came In From the Cold or Beckett or any of these, a lot of other movies. He's fantastic. And you see the movie he did right after this, Equus, Sidney Lumet, and you will see the difference between an actor giving a performance and an actor who does not care at all. And that's what he was during The Heretic, where you see him, he did this movie Absolution, which was a movie that he did a couple years later in Britain. He cared about that performance, but then the movie he did before that, The Medusa Touch, where he's in a coma and somehow telekinetically flying jets into buildings and shit. It's hilarious. It's on Tubi. It's actually kind of fun. But he does not care at all. And you can really tell the difference between which Burton you're getting depending on the movie. But, in Exorcist 2, I'm sorry, I have to go against some of those defenders and be like, no, I think his performance is a big problem, actually, that Boorman was never quite able to kind of like get past.
So we were talking a little bit about the amazing art that's in this.
Mm-hmm.
In between the interviews, we see this incredible animation.
Oh, the animations,
that were created for this. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So there's this graphics house called Mindbomb, run by Sid Guerin and Chris Kirk, out of LA. And we went to them, and I was like, look, we don't have any photos. We don't have any way to do this. We have to do this in animation. We have to figure out something. And I came up with the idea of a storyboard motif, that the whole thing would be in storyboards, which makes sense. It's a movie and everything. Yeah. And they got an illustrator named Ian Slack who literally illustrated all of that. And then Mindbomb animated it. And then the rest of the graphics, those are the big animated sections, which are fantastic. But all of the other stuff, like the schedules and the photos and everything, that was motion graphics. There were 350 plus shots, and they were done by Craig Smith over there, the motion graphics guy. Really great work. And like the whole team, I mean, Eduardo, who did the music, I gave him these temp tracks of 70s scores like overlaid over each other, like very complex stuff. And he managed to make something that was so interesting and unique. My team was just absolutely phenomenal. It's like a dream. It's like amazing.
For the things like there's that shot where you show a diagram of all the sets that were going to be built for the production. Where do you find things like that? Was that
all the
from
background stuff?
Did you have to go to like Margaret Herrick Library for things
No,
like
I
that?
had to go to the University of Indiana in Bloomington.
Oh, okay.
Where Boorman has donated all of his papers for all of his career. So literally, I saw his original Lord of the Rings, script, which was 200 and something pages, was going to be like 4 hours long. There was just a ton of stuff in there, like all those schedules, like 14 days behind, and like all of those. I was in there because you can't copy it. So I'm there with my iPhone and I'm just like taking pictures of everything, and later on we touched them up and made them look nice. But yeah, all of that material was straight out of all of
his papers.
Yeah, all of his papers.
What about for the video archival that you used in it? Where do you source things like that?
Well, there was one production short that was made for the film, which they used to do on 16. They used to make these little production shorts, and we found one, and we had it transferred to HD, and we used some of that. Other than that, and then there was this one. Okay, the one thing I really wished I could have included in this, and I couldn't. At the wrap party, a bunch of the women of the crew, including Bonnie, Melissa Scoff, and a couple of other people, changed the lyrics to Lullaby of Broadway. If you know Lullaby of Broadway, it's in Exorcist 2. It's the thing that she tap dances to. And they made new lyrics about the heretic, like, come on and see the heretic, a little piece of heaven. And it went on, and it's like, you can read, if you get the making of book, by the way, and if you're interested in this movie, you should, because it's amazing. They have all the lyrics printed. But Melissa Scoff had a 16 millimeter print of them performing it for Boorman at on stage 16 behind the crashed car in the house set. And we had it, and we included it, and the lawyers, because we had to fair use a lot of this. And if you don't know what fair use is, it means that you can use any piece of anything belonging to someone else as long as you're talking about it. So it's a law, which is great. You can make a documentary. So if Warner Brothers hated this, tough luck. We fair used it. It's like, this is all about the thing. We're not using the thing to entertain you. But the Lullaby of Broadway is not in public domain. So it would have meant like a lot of money, 5 figures at least, just to license the song. And it's not parody, because it's not a parody of the song. It's a parody of the movie. So it doesn't fall under fair use. So if I have the luxury of having a Blu-ray of this, a deluxe Blu-ray of this after whatever this Blu-ray is going to be, like 6-7 years from now, after it falls in the public domain, I'm putting that shit on that new one, because it's so good. It's like, you see Ron Vargas with hair do the clap, and it's like you see Boorman, and you see like Bonnie looking like 27, and Melissa Scott, and it's like, and it's so charming. But I couldn't include it because, like, I don't have Amazon money. What
about the Billy Friedkin clip of him telling the story? Where did that come from?
That came from a 2013. Was it 2013? Trav, do you remember? It was a 2013 like Chicago Film Festival where they were showing something, and somebody asked him about it, and they videotaped it, and we got permission by the people who videotaped it to include it. And there's a bit of controversy because people are now saying they were not chased down the street. In action, that was just Billy making this up.
But that's what I was going to ask is that story really, really true?
Well, the story is, but not the part where they were chased down by the street.
Okay.
That's everything else is true. Like that kid was a friend of Chris Landers. He did stand up. Like, this did happen. And they did leave the theater, Callie and Ted Ashley and all those people, the studio heads. But they weren't quite chased down the street. But it's more, I like this. It's fun.
Had Billy Friedkin already passed when you started making?
Not when I started.
Did you ever try to interview him?
We thought about it, but like I knew how that would go. I think we would like sit at a table. We'd have our crew there, which cost money. Like every time you go on with a crew, it costs money. So we set up our cameras and be like, "Do you think Exorcist 2 is a good movie?" He's like, "That was the worst piece of shit I've ever seen," and then he'd leave, and that's probably what would happen. And I'd be like, "You know what? I don't need to hear his point of view on this." Like, I have a lot of respect for Friedkin, but I don't know. I don't think it takes a lot of class to publicly badmouth the guy who did the sequel simply because you don't like it and call him stupid. He went out and personally insulted Boorman all over the place. And it's like, okay, Billy, you're whatever, but you know what? Exorcist 2 outgrows Sorcerer by a lot, you motherfucker. So, whatever.
Well, after watching this, I think even though Boorman talks about it in the end, in his in the end of the film, about whether he thought it was a mistake or not, there is still a big why. There is still a big question mark there as to why Warner's didn't just hire somebody to make the sequel that everybody wanted to see. The real.
I mean, I have a theory about it. I mean, you would have to ask people who are now not with us, like John Calley. I mean, John Calley's a real interesting dude. He was like, Robert Evans ran Paramount, but he was very public and he was running around with women and, coke and, going out and getting photographed. John Calley was very, very like low key. He did not like the lights, but he trusted his people. He's the one who brought Stanley Kubrick to Warner Brothers for the rest of his career. He's the one who gave Robert Altman a bunch of budgets for like stuff like McCabe and Mrs. Miller. He gave Alan Pakula Clute. I mean, there's on and on and on. I could talk about John Calley being this really interesting, discerning creative executive who wanted to enable creatives and not get in their way. And I think initially Warner Brothers wanted a cheap ass sequel, but I think once they saw they could get Linda Blair, and Linda Blair was like, you know what? I don't want to do this other possessed kid thing. And they had a choice. They could have just done the version that cost $3 or $4 million, get a whole new cast, because Ellen Burstyn wasn't coming back no matter what, and have another possessed kid, and they probably would have made some money. What they wanted was, they wanted a movie that could stand up with The Exorcist as a great film. They wanted to try to do something really, really, really great and different and interesting. And that was the impetus. And that's the part where I think one needs to respect this work, regardless of whether or not you think it's, how dare you?
That's a 5 minute.
Dare you? Whether or not
we're locked in,
whether or not you think it's like good or it works, it's about the ambition. It's about the creative swing. It has to be. And if not, why are we doing movies? We should all become, derivatives traders. Like, we would have been a lot happier, made a lot more money. But instead we're trying to do this thing where we're trying to replicate dreams on a screen to have a communal experience. And, there's something really precious and special about that. And I think a lot of really good people are fighting to protect that right now.
Do you think that it would have made a difference if they didn't name it Exorcist 2?
Everyone asks me that. I have no fucking idea. I think here's what I think. I think if it had just been called The Heretic, and I think if the marketing had been like, it's different, but it's a follow-up, but it's different, I don't think it would have opened anywhere near as big, because it opened huge. It would not have opened as big. It probably would have still been pretty rejected, because the movie, I think, in and of itself is flawed. I don't know if they would have made more money. I think it would have been a lot less hated. I don't think it would have had the reputation it has. But I think if I were the studio, I probably would have done what they did.
It could have been The Heretic, an Exorcist story.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know if there would have been lines around the block for that. Maybe there would have been.
From the Exorcist multiverse, The Heretic.
It's so funny. There was a review there were a couple of reviews here and there about because on Box Office Mojo, for older movies, they don't know how much it grossed. So they put in 30 million for Exorcist 2, 30,000,000. That is not a real number. And people are like, well, it grossed 30 million. It was a hit. I don't understand. Why are you acting like it's a flop? I'm like, guys, if you don't think Exorcist 2 was a flop, I could do the math, but whatever. It's and I don't believe it grossed 30 million either.
So about your film, what do you hope that people's takeaway is from this film, this documentary?
Oh my gosh. I mean, certainly I think if you haven't seen a John Boorman movie, go see one. That's the first thing. I mean, certainly Excalibur, Point Blank, Deliverance. There's a movie called The General, which not enough people have seen, which is amazing. Hope and Glory is fantastic. Queen and Country, Emerald Forest. I could go on. Zardoz. Oh my God, yes. Oh, I could talk about Zardoz for a while, and I know we don't have time.
Mankini.
Oh my God, Zardoz is so fucking cool. I hope that people take away that in order to be an artist, you have to be able to take risks. And I think Boorman's entire career has been spent, I think somewhat to his detriment, taking enormous risks, because this is a man, I think he's up there with Kubrick and Kurosawa and Hitchcock and all the Bergman and all the greats. It's just that he goes so far out there that I don't think the batting average, if you look at his work, is like a Kubrick batting average. But I do think that the talent and the passion is there. And I think right now we're seeing a lot of people, especially because everything's ruled by money right now in the arts, you're seeing a lot of like pulling back and a lot of fear. And if this movie would inspire anything, I think I would hope it would inspire anybody with any artistic dreams to take the fucking risk. If this didn't kill Boorman, then whatever you're planning is not going to kill you. I can imagine what you could like the risk on this was just so beyond my scope of belief that I want to see more directors. I want to see more filmmakers. I want to see more artists go out there. And you know what? It's like people hate it. Fine. You did it. It's there. And that's, at the end of the day, the doing has to matter. It can't be about the result. It can't be about where it goes. And I think we all lose that sometimes. I certainly do. And I think if there's one thing to take away, it would be that.
I want to say thanks to you. You know, I got my master's in film studies, which is history, theory, and criticism. And this is what people in film studies do. You tell the story of the making of a film from the start to the finish, and you dig into all of the juicy bits, and everything that comes out of it is you're documenting an era, our culture. There's so many gifts that come out of research and come out of telling the true story of someone's process. Mm-hmm. And I thank you so much, because I think it's such important work to do. It's important for us to understand this industry if we want to keep it around and understand the history of this industry. Yeah. And so when are you coming out again? When's the film coming out?
Well,
so that everybody knows.
We have a screening at the Arrow in Santa Monica on the 18th. And I was told that we've sold about half the tickets, which is insane because it's a Tuesday night. But Linda's coming. And so that's a thing. And it's being moderated by Brian Fuller. And then we open at the Quad in New York for our theatrical award qualifying run on the 28th. And I'm going to fly to New York and do those Q&As. And then on the September 2nd, it's showing for one night at the Lumley NoHo, September 3rd at the Glendale, and then it starts its LA run September 4th, I think, at the Lumley Santa Monica. Or it could be the Lumley Glendale or both. I'm not sure which. I don't know if they've actually done that, but that's the future for this film, and I'm really grateful. Please tell everyone to come out and see it, because God knows it ain't easy making a doc, and we're very fortunate to be able to get in a theater, and I hope you enjoyed seeing it with people, because I feel like this movie is really lovely to see with people.
Well, congratulations on this amazing film. Thank you for coming. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you.